Ladies and gentlemen, this story bothered me. I think about my high school days. I love basketball. Um, I got a chance to watch my younger brother and my younger sister play ball through high school. Watch my cousins. My baby cousins are now, going through. Let me say this. With this story coming out of Detroit, it's just, I don't know, man. It just really made me just feel a little different. But hundreds of people gathered in the parking lot of Hype Athletics, which is HYPE, to pay their respects Sunday night to a star high school basketball player who was taken way too soon. In coaching of 31 years, I never ever thought or would imagine having to deal with anything like this with one of my players, according to Hype Athletics girls director Doc Cornell. That young lady that y'all see on my screen right there is 18-year-old Carlesa Taylor. She was shot and killed alongside another 17-year-old when somebody started to fire gunshots into the car they were traveling in down Schoolcraft Road Friday night, and another 17-year-old was also shot and is still in critical condition. And I would have to ask, what prompted this and why did this happen? There aren't a lot of answers right now, but police are looking for whoever was behind the wheel of a gray or a black Dodge Durango as the ones responsible. So I don't know if there was a motive to this, if it was a case of mistaken identity. Maybe they were the school that got beat. I don't know. But just before she was killed, she was in this basketball game, which you guys can see right there on my screen, and she scored 27 points on the court. For a high school kid, that's actually very, very impressive. She had just had a game that day at 4:30, Coach Cornell said, and to hear this right after the game is devastating. For this to happen, it's a hurtful situation for our family now, and it's like losing a kid, losing a relative, or losing a sibling, said E-Course girls basketball coach Raw Jenkins. Family and friends and teammates who honored this young girl Sunday night with a candlelit vigil and a balloon release, which I wish they would have just stopped at the candle vigil. That was good. We didn't have to go to balloons because balloons just trash the place up. We got to stop doing balloons, okay? But nonetheless, some of them could barely make it through the service without breaking into tears. It was never a time when Carlessa was putting us down or not motivating us to do better and be better. That's where we are today, cried Carlessa's teammate Lyric Powell. Carlessa played basketball for Ecorse High School and Henry Ford Academy, but coaches from all throughout her athletic career always kept in touch. Just look at her growth from age 13 to 14 and now at the age of 17. How she matured on and off the court is just tremendous, according to Coach Cornell. It's very certain that she will be missed. She was an A&B student. She just did everything right. It's real tragic, but out of this tragedy, we as a team will grow and each of us will be stronger, according to Coach Jenkins. We're going to live our legacy through Carlessa. Carlessa had several colleges that were pursuing her. Shortly before she was killed, she visited a place called Adrian College. Anybody who has information is asked to contact Detroit Police Department at 313-596-2260 or Crime Stoppers at 800-SPEAK-UP. But what are the chances that somebody is going to actually have real guts, real courage? They saw something and they need to say something. They need to speak up. But we're going to continue to keep letting this get swept under the rug. Give you guys the fair usage. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Let's go ahead and get started.
But we begin with a promising high school basketball standout murdered in a senseless act of gun violence. The teen was killed in a triple shooting on Detroit.
Stop. This was not gun violence. This was what? It's not gun violence. It was thug violence. Remember, thug does not attach to a color. It is attached to an action. This was the actions of thugs. Thug violence, or thugs with gun violence.
Act of gun violence. The teen was killed in a triple shooting on Detroit's west side.
Carlesa Taylor was a senior at Ecorse High School with a promising future in basketball. Tonight, her friends and family got together to honor her young life. Victor Williams is live, and Victor, it came on the same night as police released a new clue in the hunt for her killer.
Yes, that's right. They did release several photos and videos of a car that may be suspected of firing shots into the car that killed Carlesa, but this entire area was just packed with people that knew this young girl, and all of them had the same common thought that they shouldn't have to have had to come out here tonight. Instead of all of this, they should have been having a going away party for this young girl who had such a promising future. Instead, they're mourning her death. Hundreds gather in the parking lot of Hype Athletics, paying their respects to a star high school basketball player taken way too soon.
In coaching of 31 years, I've never, ever imagined having to deal with anything like this with one of my players.
18-year-old Carlesa Taylor was killed alongside another 17-year-old when someone started to fire shots into the car they were traveling in down Schoolcraft Friday night. An additional 17-year-old was also shot but is still in critical condition. Police are now looking for whoever was behind the wheel of this gray or black Dodge Durango as the one responsible. Just before she was killed, Carlesa scored 27 points on the court.
She had just had a game that day at 4:30. It's a hurtful situation for our family now.
Tonight, it's family, friends, and teammates who are honoring this young girl with a candlelight vigil and a balloon release. Some of them could barely make it through without breaking into tears.
It was never a time where Carlesa was putting us down or not motivating us to do better and be better. And that's why we are who we are today.
Carlesa played basketball for Ecorse High and Henry Ford Academy, but coaches from all throughout her athletic career would always keep in touch.
How she matured on and off the court was just tremendous.
And she'll definitely be missed.
But out of this tragedy, we as a team will grow, and each one of us will be stronger. We're going to live our legacy through Carlesa.
And we know that a lot of college scouts were out there looking at Carlesa, hoping that they could get her to join their team. And we're told that shortly before she passed away, she ended up having a tour at Adrian College. So if you guys know who in the world might have been behind the wheel of that Durango, you're asked to call police as soon as possible and leave a tip. Victor Williams, Local 4.
That's so sad, Victor. Thank you very much.
A community is mourning two student athletes tonight whose futures were cut short in a deadly shooting. Their families are speaking out about the violence. CW50's Chris Walker has more.
Police are looking for this gunman who fled in a gray or black Durango moments after firing shots at three teens. The trio was making a quick run for food Friday night, but two of them will never see home again.
You done this to the wrong kid. You don't know how devastating, and I'm angry.
And that shooting happened here on the corner of Schoolcraft and Ashton, critically injuring a 17-year-old boy and killing two teens, 18-year-old Carlesa Taylor and another 17-year-old boy whose name we're withholding at the family's request. The three victims were acquainted through their love for sports. The two male victims played at Henry Ford Academy, but the tragedy took one of the players away from his team.
Just a
great kid, man. He, talked stuff just like every other teenager. Laughed, joked around, played all the time.
I'm mad that you did this to my baby. She did not deserve this.
Taylor was a star basketball player at Ecorse High School. Her talent caught the attention of top-tier schools, and just hours before the shooting, she went to visit Adrian College and was beaming with pride about her future.
She's putting up big numbers, 27, 24, 20. She's starting to do the things that we all seen in her. And everything was starting to play out. College coaches were starting to call.
A GoFundMe has been set up for Taylor's burial expenses. A candlelight vigil will be held for the victims Thursday at 6:30 in the Henry Ford Academy parking lot.
It's not fair that you just think you can just go around shooting people and thinking they don't have nobody that love them.
Reporting in Detroit, Chris Walker, CW50 News at 10.
Let me give you guys my closing thoughts, and shout out to my brother Dre the Dream. And he brought up something that I did think about, that this could have potentially have been in retaliation of that basketball game. It's not far-fetched at all as far as a motive. I know people get heated at these games. I've seen parents threaten referees, threaten coaches, threaten the other team, threaten school officials, threaten the police over these games. This could have potentially been a situation where somebody took it too far and decided to actually take action outside of the gym when people don't know how to just leave everything on the court, which is what we say. We say leave it on the court. That means whatever anger and feelings you had, you leave it right there on the court. You put it into your game to try to motivate your team to do as best as you can to try to win a game. And that's it. And you're supposed to know as humans how to move on. We don't value each other. And I can guarantee you guys that this was probably another situation. What we call this, what do we call it? Black on black violence? Is that what it's called? We're doing this to ourselves. And these kids could have had an opportunity, and they were so close to becoming something great, to touching greatness, moving on to higher education, to college, and then go on to great things, make a family, get out of these bad areas, and we continue to cut each other down. These are so close to being success stories, but we continue to be our own worst enemies. There's no excuse for this, but will anybody turn anybody in? I would love to see somebody have the courage to give this young lady, this young woman, very young woman, the justice that she deserves, but she deserved an opportunity to continue to keep growing up and become something great. So to her, Carlesa Taylor, to anyone else that was involved or anybody else who lost their life, I want to wish them an RIP. And we want to put a prayer hands up in the chat for their family, their friends, their school. I can understand how traumatic that could possibly be. Actually, I do know how traumatic that actually can be. I lost a couple of friends in high school. I lost a cousin in high school, going into my sophomore year. So, unfortunately, I know this very same story, and it needs to change. We can change it, and it's really only left up to us. We're the only ones who can change the narrative, okay? We can't keep waiting for outside entities to come in and try to fix us. We got to fix us, and we can do it together, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening with an open mind and an open heart. From my heart to yours. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this story. We hope you guys like, share, and subscribe to our channel, the AFC Podcast, where we advocate for children first. You have a great day. Have a great night. Peace.